Hello everyone, thank you very much for checking out my first movie review of what I'm hoping is going to be a lot more. And today I'm going to be talking about 10 Cloverfield Lane. 10 Cloverfield Lane is a thriller directed by first-timer Dan Trachtenberg and starring John Goodman, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and John Gallagher Jr. The movie is about a young girl who was involved in a car accident early in the movie, and she's taken in by John Goodman's character Howard and imprisoned in a cellar of an underground bunker. He keeps telling her that she can't leave, she can't go outside because the air is contaminated from an attack that happened. We're not sure if it's aliens or if it's Russians or if there was even an attack at all. And that's one of the great things about this movie, is that you're never actually sure at the start, if this whole thing is real or if this guy is just absolutely insane. Now, when the first Cloverfield came out in 2008, I absolutely loved that movie so much. It was my favorite movie of that year, one of my favorite movies of the entire decade. I loved that movie. To me, it was so much more than just a giant monster movie. It was a love story. It was about a guy who was trying to rescue this girl who he was deeply in love with but had never told her. And he had to fight his way through all this chaos and destruction in order to rescue her because she was trapped. It was a very emotional movie. I thought the characters were really well written. It was heartbreakingly sad. I loved that movie. At the time after that movie came out, there was a lot of talk about a sequel. There was ideas going around of having another movie, another found footage movie that was taken by another group of people in that same incident from their perspective, and nothing ever really eventuated. When I heard that this movie was coming out, which was made in complete secrecy, they didn't even reveal that it existed until a couple of months ago, I was absolutely stoked. I thought, oh my god, fantastic, we're getting a sequel to this movie. But whatever you do, don't go into 10 Cloverfield Lane expecting Cloverfield 2. It is far, far from it. This movie was actually taken from an original script called The Cellar, which had nothing to do with Cloverfield, and when J.J. Abrams found a few thematic similarities between the two stories, he decided to tack the Cloverfield name onto this movie. The only real thing that ties the movies together is a letter that's found on the ground. On the envelope there's a company name which has something to do with the company surrounding events in the first one, which you don't even know about unless you go onto the viral marketing campaign that happened online. So really, that's about it. This is a complete standalone movie. You don't have to have seen the first one. It has nothing to do with it. That being said, did I enjoy 10 Cloverfield Lane? Yes, I really dug this movie, all the way up until the third act, which I thought was a bit of a letdown, but I'll get to that soon. For the most part, though, I loved the movie. As a first-time director, Dan Trachtenberg did a fantastic job. There was a genuine air of dread in this location. You really felt trapped with this girl and the other guy. Like, you felt there was no escape. And they did a really fantastic job. The performances in this movie were absolutely fantastic. John Goodman delivered one of the best performances I have ever seen him give. He was terrifying, basically. He went from being like a calm, rational person who seemed to want to help this girl out, and you actually kind of believed that, he was genuinely there to help her. Next minute, he's a raging beast. He was the monster of this movie, and you're never sure as to, which direction his character is actually going in. Like, you kind of want to trust him, you kind of don't. There's some clues as to, things that he's saying might actually be real, but then there are some clues that he's telling a complete lie. So you're never really sure about this guy, and that was one of the great things about this movie. Mary Elizabeth Winstead and John Gallagher Jr. also did a great job. Her character, not so much the performance, but her character was really cool. She wasn't just a girly damsel in distress. She was really taking control of the situation. She was fashioning weapons out of things that she had lying around or trying to find ways to escape. She was almost like a female John McClane, which I don't think is a coincidence since she did play John McClane's daughter in one of those crappy Die Hard movies. Haha. The cinematography was just fine. Again, they really did a good job of enhancing this environment, this claustrophobic situation. There were a few shots that, I kind of thought, wow, that was a really amazing camera angle or something like that. Overall, though, it was good. It wasn't anything great, but yeah, they did a good job. One thing that I really want to talk about, though, is the sound design of this movie. My God, it's a testament to a good job by your sound design team when you really notice these things. And there was a couple of things in the movie. At first, the door to the girl's cellar where she's being trapped, it was making a really over-the-top noise, and I kind of thought, that's a little bit jarring, but, you know, in a good way. But then later on they referred to it as the scary door, and I thought, okay, that's clever. Another thing which really stood out, and I'm not going to reveal any spoilers, but there's a scene where a gunshot goes off in a room, and man, they did such a great job of this. Instead of just, you know, everybody's voices going back to normal or whatever, all you hear was this, like, ringing in your ears sort of sound, you know, and the voices start off muffled, you know, and after a few seconds go back to normal. And yeah, it added a real air of realism to that situation. So there was a lot going for this movie. You know, I really thought I was going to give it a 9 out of 10 at one point. But then towards the end, you know, in that final act, the big reveal as to, you know, what's actually really going on, I was a bit disappointed. And only because I wanted it to go in a different direction to the one it actually took. For me, the tension in the movie and the whole situation was created on a human level. John Goodman's character, I mean, you know, his performance in this was so good. He was really scary. But that's the thing, you know, it was all on a human level. And then when you get the big reveal at the end as to what's actually going on, yeah, it just went a way I kind of felt was, I don't know, maybe a little forced, maybe a little rushed. And I know I'm probably in the minority here because I've read a lot of comments online, that sort of thing, of people who actually really dug the ending, and that's great. But for me, yeah, I just kind of expected a little bit more from it. But, you know, while it wasn't great, it didn't really let the whole movie down. I mean, there was so much going for the movie. Another thing, I just kind of thought there was a few loose ends in the conclusion. I wanted to know more about Howard, John Goodman's character. There was a lot of clues throughout as to why he was doing what he was doing, but I just sort of felt like I wanted to know more. He was such a fascinating character, and yeah, I wanted to know a little bit more about him, but I thought that was left a little bit open-ended. There was a few things I also felt maybe we were going to be a little bit hokey in the movie. There was a subplot involving something that Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character was crafting in order to help her escape, which I kind of thought might be a little unbelievable, but when you actually see this thing later on, you sort of think, yeah, she could have made that herself. There was a couple of little nitpicky sort of things. There was a scene where she goes crawling through an air vent for a little while and she came out of it completely spotless. If anyone goes crawling through an air vent, I'm pretty sure they're going to come out of it a little bit dirty. So yeah, there's a couple of little things like that, but it didn't really let the movie down. So look, overall, I really dug the movie. While I thought the ending was a little bit of a letdown, it didn't ruin the whole movie. You know, it was a great ride leading up to it, and I would happily see it again. I'm going to give this movie a 7 out of 10. So thanks so much for watching this review. Like I said, I'm hoping it's going to be the first in a long line of many reviews, not only new movies, but some older ones as well. There's a lot of movies that I feel are really underrated, and I'd love to talk about them, maybe inspire some people to check them out. And feel free to leave comments on either Facebook or YouTube, and let's start talking about movies. This is why I actually want to do it. It's not so much to be a movie critic. I just love talking about movies, and I would really love to talk about movies with you. So until next time, take care, and thanks again.